bet, boys. Hope y'all are doing well. This one's coming late. Had a pretty busy day, but this is week 7. Hope you guys are doing well. Let's just jump right into it. This week is word was willingly after last week's discussion. And what does it mean to be willing? Or what does willingly mean? It means to be ready, eager, or prepared to do something. I feel that this word is pretty heavy in many ways. In the sense of, I think being willing is something that is it's like the main ingredient in life. Being willing, right? To be ready, to be eager, or prepared to do something. I think, at least for myself, I want to do a lot of things in life. There's plenty of things that I want to do. But those thoughts and the idea of wanting to do those things is just a mere fantasy, right? It's not until I'm willing, until I'm ready, until I'm eager, until I'm prepared to take action will those things come into fruition. And honestly, kind of in life right now, I don't feel that willing in many different ways. I feel that even with these talks, I'm not super willing to be honest all the time. I feel that sometimes I'm so afraid of things that I'm just not ready. I haven't said my prayers. I haven't said my goodbyes to the past and leaving them. And I think that eats up a lot of it, because how am I going to be ready? How am I going to be excited for the future if I'm still hung up on the past? How am I going to be prepared, right? How am I going to be prepared for what's to come if I haven't even finished what has happened? It's kind of a don't take that literally, but that's just kind of the feeling that comes with it. Yeah, I think there's a lot of things I want to do. I want to compete at nationals. Worlds, not nationals. I competed in nationals last year. I want to compete in worlds this year in jiu-jitsu. Held at my school. Biggest tournament. But I feel like a lot of what I've been doing is not keen on winning. I'm listening to this book, The Denial of Death. And a big thing that he talks about is, as humans, we're very scared of failing. We're very scared of the bottom. Right? It sucks to fail. But there's also that part of us that's very scared to be great. And the reason for that greatness is that it seems unrealistic. And a lot of that comes from the fact that to be great you have to almost, and it's the denial of death, so it talks about death. There's an acceptance of being human that comes with greatness. That those feelings that come from greatness are so powerful that we as humans would just rather not feel them, even if they're good, right? Even if they're good feelings, because the thing that comes with that, I feel, and you can reach many things from. And greatness can be, the definition of it can be many different ways. It can be being a good father. It can be the father who never gets mad. It can be the person who is able to live in peace. It can be the person who runs the fastest mile. It can be the person who makes it all the way to the NFL. Right? Greatness for each person. But we all know what our greatness is. But the reason we don't achieve that is, first of all, the death of the ego in achieving it. Because, like I said, greatness is very subjective. So to reach your greatness, there has to be a death of the ego at some point. That part of you that once thought, right, this is what it's like to be great, is always going to be wrong. Because that's just an expectation. Expectations are wrong. I'm just going to put it blatantly. Expectations are always wrong. Because you cannot predict something that is not in the now. So when you get that feeling, there's a death of the ego. Whether it's, wow, I did it. Whether it's, wow, I wasted a lot of time doing it. Because this is what I thought greatness was. And yes, I achieved it in many manners and in different ways. But it didn't feel as great. There's a death of the ego. And I think for me, there's a part of me that's not willing to meet that at all, whatsoever. There's a part of me that's not eager. There's a part of me that's scared. There's a part of me that's not ready. There's a part of me that wants to put the brakes on it. There's a part of me that's not prepared. I don't know. I don't know what it's gonna be like. I don't know. And I think a lot of that is coming from, I'm not willing, at least for me, to trust in the process of something greater than myself. And that's very, very important, at least for me in my life. Trusting something that's greater than me, trusting something that I cannot comprehend, because most of my life I can't comprehend, in the sense of, why am I here right now? Why am I living the life that I'm living now? If you would have asked me, am I the position I'm in right now, if you would have asked me 5 months ago, I couldn't tell you. If you asked me a month ago, I couldn't tell you. If you asked me 2 weeks ago, I couldn't tell you I'd be feeling like this. And so for me, I try to put reason to it. And that reason takes away the readiness. It takes away the preparedness. Because when I reason, I can reason for everything for years and years and years, and I can try to put a meaning to it. And I'll probably never come to it. Right? I can say, yes, my path that I live now led me to this place, but there's more to decipher there. Right? Why did I make that decision? Because a lot of the decisions I make are not logical in any means. By any means. So, back to the point of willingness and doing worlds, and there's a part of me that's very scared, because I don't know, it's just hard. It's not easy. I don't want to do it, because also I have a feeling like I'm going to miss out a lot on certain things. There's a part of me that doesn't want to do it, because if I win, right, I'm going to have to, and this is all expectations, if I win, I'm going to have to keep competing all the time, even if I don't enjoy it anymore. There's a part of me that is scared because I don't want to get injured. I mean, that's a big thing for athletes. There's a part of me that's not willing, because I don't want to change as a person in many ways. I like to live the life that I live. I think I do. Right? I tell myself I do. But until I'm ready, it's not going to change. Until I make that conscious decision to say I'm done living the life that I'm living, it's not going to change. Until I say I got everything I need, I'm ready to go, it's not going to change. And that something can be anything for anyone out there. And I think the biggest thing is the fear of being the person I am now is not great enough for me to change. Right? I don't think fear is the biggest motivator, but the fear that I have now is not great enough for me to change. And the love for myself in many ways isn't great enough for me to change. Because I think fear can only motivate so much, can only discipline so much. Fear can only do so much to a human being. Right? Nothing is great comes out of fear usually. Usually it comes out of the acceptance and the love for it. And when I say love, I'm not saying like, oh, kissy kissy, smushy mushy. It's like more of the Greek conception of love, of embracement, of in quite a what I mean is acceptance, and in many ways, the full embracement of the now, the full embracement of what is happening, the full embracement of the feelings. That's love, I think. And we tie it up with romanticizing it so much, because those are the times when most of us feel like nothing else is happening. There's nothing else in the world besides this one person, and through this person we mirror the human existence with them. I think that's why I like to roll so much and I like jiu-jitsu is, even if you hate the person you're rolling with, even if you guys are both trying to choke each other out, there's an acceptance there of like, we're both trying to hurt each other. We're both trying to win. But in the end of the day, we're both just humans. And what we're doing has so much meaning to it, but it's also so stupid. Right? Whether, I live or die, right? Street fight. Whether I live or die doesn't have that much meaning, but the meaning I put on my life. Right? And the harder I fight, see, for me, I don't do well when I look at matches as winning or losing. I do really well when I'm willing to embrace the good time that it is, the fun, the love that I have for the invigoration. That's how I kind of feel of everything in life. I don't do well in anything that I'm not willing to. I'm not willing to accept. Some people do really well in things that they hate. I know plenty of people who can get A's in school and hate school. I know plenty of people who hated sports and did really well in sports. I'm just not one of those people. I don't enjoy something, I'm not going to do well in it. When I did best at school was when I thought I was going to fail out because I was taking this class that had like an 85% dropout rate. And I remember I went home and I talked to the teachers. I was like, what do I have? They're like, yeah, you got to study like 30 hours a week, blah, blah, all this stuff. And I remember I went home and I just embraced the thought of just utter defeat. I was so defeated. I was just like, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to be able to complete this. This is it. But I'm damn well going to at least attempt and see how far I get. And I did. And the first grade I got was a C on the test. And then I got a B. And then I got an A. And then it kind of transpired from there. And obviously that's not how my school was. And then I kept getting A's, and then I took a class over the winter. That was 4 weeks. It was college level, and I got a B. And then guess what happened after that? Then I got my first C. Because I just couldn't accept. I wasn't willing to look at myself and be like, I'm just not a good student. I didn't feel willing to keep learning in the academic realm. Because I wasn't willing to learn spiritually. I wasn't willing to do things like this. See, when I look at life, the one thing I've always been willing to do is to learn more about myself. That is something I'm always eager and ready to do. And I know I'm kind of contradicting myself. I just said I wasn't, and that I am speaking through jiu-jitsu. But when it comes to a spiritual level of myself, I am almost always willing to. I said almost, because as I keep talking, I'm starting to realize the steps that I'm taking are actually steps where I show that I'm eager, I'm prepared, I'm ready. There's no more preparing, there's no more getting ready, there's no more excitement. I'm here in the moment, and that's where the excitement comes from. It's not going to be in the future, it's not going to be in the past, it's going to be now. And to that, I implore, and obviously this is in front of a camera, so you don't even know how I'm living, how I'm acting. This could all be a facade, like many of those YouTubers, I think. And that's something I get wrong. I think I get wrong all the time, is I look at whatever YouTubers, celebrities, and we all do, and we think, this person's just got it. They just seem like they don't fuck up. Seem like it's all good. But I feel that the mind always hits this point that says you're not ready, you're not prepared, you're not excited for this. The future's gonna suck. And that's just living in a lie. And so for me, when that part of my life, that spiritual, that metaphysical, that side I can't explain, when there's curiosity there, when there's a willingness there to embrace, that's when life gets fucking good. And that's what happened during that. I didn't, the one thing I said was, why would this happen to me? Right? I can go into other stories. That's the biggest one. Why would this happen to me? There has to be a reason. And what I kind of learned is there is no reason that I can explain, but I can search. I can keep searching. And I'm going to continue to search. That's why it's so imperative to me that at least when I die, if I die with a mindset of, I know exactly what's going to happen, I have done something wrong. I was not willing to explore life in every means possible. And I think that starts with something that is so subjective. Because that's the beauty. That's the beauty in life, is not the tangible. Right? It's not the hardcore facts. And I was actually just watching a movie the other day, and the person said, yeah, you're very analytical about the movie. You don't look at the little things, the subtle things. And I said, yeah, I think school's done that to me. I think growing up has done that to me. I think I live in this life paradox. Kierkegaard talks about it, the anxiety of the parent placed onto the child, where the child needs to learn for themselves. Yes, the parent can maybe place ideas in, like, okay, yeah, don't go spit on someone. But the child in every aspect of their life, socially, right, intellectually, spiritually, has to learn for themselves. And this is not, I would say most kids are raised in one religious household, spiritual household, and they just kind of believe it, because that's what happens. And Kierkegaard says that leads to the depressive. That leads to the depressive, the psychotic. Because what happens now is you have a child and a person who, the depressive, is so entranced in their life that there is nothing else but their life. There is nothing to explore. There is nothing to ponder. It is just a mere system, is what it is. I put in 1, I get out 3, whatever. I put in 2, I have 1. It's just systems. It's just a mere system. There is nothing deeper to it. It is just a mere existence, is what happens to the depressive when there is no exploring. When it is, this is right, this is wrong. Right? And that's something that's so funny to me. It's like, just an example, when people ever talk about, like, conspiracy theories and all these things, sometimes it makes me very angry, because I'm like, wow, these fuckers are going down these rabbit holes on the internet, and I just can't believe they believe it. Or, like, when people talk about, like, a good example, I guess, is holistic medicine sometimes. But as I get older, I'm starting to realize, like, the fuck am I to say what's the right way to do things and what's the wrong way? Yeah, just because a teacher told me, oh yeah, a chiropractor's useless, and I still believe that. Who's to say I know? I've never gotten my back cracked. I'm not planning on it, because to me, logically, it doesn't make sense. But maybe it's the best thing that's ever happened to mankind. Maybe we don't even need physical therapists. Maybe it should just be chiropractors everywhere. Right? It's kind of the same thing with jiu-jitsu, which I love the sport, right? Some person may say this guard is stupid. This way of moving is stupid. There is no point to it. But someone else may see it and be able to innovate it and say, dude, listen, make it into the best thing ever. Right? It's the way that we connect with it that matters most. And I think that's the most with thought in other humans. Because in life, you will meet mostly people who are very stuck on their morals and their ideas, and I know plenty of people who you could ask, what is right and wrong here? Oh, this is right and wrong. Why? Because it is. Blah, blah, blah. Same, in the example I think I gave last week. The Christianity thing. Right? There, dude. Also, yeah, this is what just this is what just angers me so much. I was walking to class, and if you're in one of these, I'm not hating on you. I'm just speaking to what I see and to how I feel about it. And this guy comes up to me, and I knew he was one of those Christian fucking bullshit club things. And he came up to me, and he's like, "Hey man, how are you?" I'm like, "Dude, like, stop with that fake shit." I didn't even say this. I'm just like, "Alright, bro, I know where this is going." And I said, "I'm not interested." And he's like, "You believe in God?" And I was like, "No, absolutely not." And then he said it like a condescending, disrespectful way, "You don't believe in God?" And I said, "No." I said, "Get away from me." And he kept trying to talk. I was like, "Get away." I was like, "Leave me alone." He finally left. Whatever. I was not having it. I was probably a little bit more expressive than I am right now, but yeah, usually I don't like to get that way. But notice how when I said absolute, I'm a believer in a higher power. When I said I don't believe in God, instead of being met with the tone of let me hear this person out. Instead of being met with the tone of let's see where this goes. Instead of being met with the tone of love, of acceptance, I was met with the tone of fear, the tone of regret, the tone of shame from this person. Questioning, how does this person not believe in what I believe in? And to me, that is the pinnacle of stupidity. That is the pinnacle of stupidity to me. Is to believe that someone else, and I am an idiot. I'll say that right for the record. Someone write it down. If you're a lawyer, write it down. I'm an idiot because I used to do this all the time. To think that someone else will have the same belief system as you is idiotic. Especially something like that. And to me, that shows an unwillingness, to be quite frank, to be a Christian. That shows an unwillingness to embrace life. That's an unwillingness to embrace another human being. And I think that's exactly where we're going in this world. I think that's exactly what is happening with each individual in humanity. Me, others, but I think especially with my generation. This is disconnectedness to life. And I'm saying this because I experience it. The reason I share this is because I'm experiencing it. I have experienced it. And so, to me, to get at the full point, don't try to change minds for me. I'm not here to change minds. I'm not here to tell others what is right and wrong. I'm here to experience and to just share my energy, my thoughts, the things that culminate to give me the idea of myself, which are forever changing. You've probably seen throughout this whole entire speech, I am changing so much. Even just every word that I speak, there is something new. There is something different. And that's because even if you think of time as linear or circular, it is constantly moving. And something that is in motion is in constant change. Right? Whether you see it or not, it is changing. That is what gives us the perception of life. The new Frankenstein was great. Because for Frankenstein, whether you watch it or not, the biggest conundrum that he has is, and I kind of used to think this too, is like, you're brought into this world, and for Frankenstein, he will never die. And so, he very much has this idea of there is no change. that is the one change he will never experience. And that is a big loss for him. In that he will never fully grasp change. And I don't think humans will ever fully grasp change until it's the end and realize how beautiful it is. So, I like to think I'm willing. I'm not always willing. But I think being willing to embrace change is important. And I guess next week maybe we'll make the word change and expectations to be broken. I think that's where you only have to be willing in life for anything to mean anything, is to have expectations broken, being willing to share experience, being willing to embrace experience. Which is so funny. I'll leave with this because there's been so much philosophy in my head, and this has been because my expectations are just broken. Immanuel Kant came up with the idea that morals, right, were metaphysical. Morals were given to us by God. That God was the one who said, this is right, this is wrong. And that's why me and you, right, and everyone else around us, most people won't go out and stab someone, right? It's because it feels wrong. We don't steal because it feels wrong. Nietzsche, in the Genealogy of Morals, when I first read it, I didn't understand. I had someone else, PhD, try to explain it to me. Got it a little bit more. Came along, and I was like, Kant, you're wrong. Sorry, buddy. Let's look at the genealogy of those morals that you're talking about. And he went back in time. And he started looking through. So I realized, right? Thousands of years ago, a lot of those stories, the Odyssey, right? Gilgamesh, a lot of those stories had a very, the Iliad had a very interesting point. Not point, but theme. In that the victor was the one who was seen as morally justified. Not the person who lost. Right? And the victor in those stories usually did a lot of killing and weren't always good. But they were seen as the right ones. And the concept of might and right was for a very long time that might, the power, was what justified morality. Because the victor did. Because it was survival. There was nothing deeper than just survival. Because we're humans. There's nothing deeper than survival. That's all that there is. Obviously, we like to think that they're more. But if you don't have, Maslow says, if you don't have those basic needs, there's nothing more that you can achieve in life. And that's why there's so much killing and murdering, is because people don't have needs that are met. And so, Nietzsche then goes on and says, well, when we start to see metaphysical morality, what's right and wrong, and what the morality that we see today mostly happens when the three Abrahamic religions come along. And that's when the idea of slave morality came by. That the man who was beaten up on the side of the road and left for dead can be more morally right than the man who beat the shit out of him. Right? That made the victor. And I find that so interesting. Because I was thinking to myself as I was driving home, I was like, do I just like to think that I'm morally right because I don't want to go to prison? Do I confide in myself that being morally justified is just being able to live life? And that it really is just survival? So then I say that it's morally right, so then I don't just kill, right? I'm not saying I'm thinking about that, but I'm just saying it's that type of concept of what prevents, and I have talked in the past a lot about, I think that there are intrinsic moralities for each and one of us, but the subjective part of it is so interesting, and that has been on my mind, and I hope you guys realize that, because I think as life goes on, I'm starting to realize just how malleable and changeable the things that we think are so basic to us, like morality and beliefs, how malleable and changeable they are.